This video is a bit late because of NFL Game Pass not having the All-22, but it seems like those issues are behind us, fingers crossed. If you want access to breakdowns of every game, make sure to subscribe on Patreon, because every other week the film breakdowns will be Patreon exclusive. So let's get right into it. So if you polled every NFL head coach and asked them what they thought Tennessee's first offensive play of the season would be, the most common answer would probably be outside zone to the left, and that's exactly what Todd Downing called. What blows this play up is Taylor Lewan missing this block on Chandler Jones, and this happens because his base is way too narrow, and Jones is able to throw him off pretty easily. This is a bad read by Tannehill. The Cardinals are in cover 3, and Chester Rogers' route cuts off right where this strong side hook defender is waiting, and there's pretty much no way that you can fit the ball in here. He should have hit Julio on this dig route because the weak side hooked player was drifting to the field side, and there was a pretty clear window to make that throw. First play for Arizona here, and Jenkins is going to trip once DeAndre Hopkins starts to get into his route. At this point, he's actually in pretty good position, and Jenkins said that he was having issues with his cleats, so we'll see if this sort of thing comes up again. I doubt it will. Teair Tart was one of a few bright spots from this game. You see him just manhandle this guard right here, and he did a great job of holding his ground and run defense. This is an issue I noticed a couple of times where Tennessee's in cover 2 and Christian Fulton covers the wrong guy. So Fulton is the flat defender, and in most variations of cover 2, he's responsible for any route that breaks into the flat. But if there aren't any, then he's in man coverage on the number 1 receiver with underneath leverage. Teams usually play it this way because this deep sideline area, which is called the honey hole, is one of the soft spots of cover 2, since it's hard for the safeties to get over there in time. And if there's no flat routes to cover, then the outside corner can help mitigate this weakness. Christian Kirk runs a hitch route, and Kyler uses his eyes to get Fulton to bite, which leaves the number 1 receiver open down the sideline. I debated for a while whether or not to blame Fulton for this, and it's definitely understandable since Kirk kind of extends his hitch route out a few steps into the flat, but ultimately I think most coaches would say that Fulton needs to carry this vertical route from the number 1. The next play is very similar, but Fulton is much more clearly at fault. This hitch route is clearly the hook defender's responsibility, but Fulton is staring at the quarterback's eyes and lets the outside receiver run uncovered. Right here, Quessenberry isn't able to block this linebacker, and Jeff Swaim can't block JJ Watt, which is honestly understandable. I'm not a fan of leaving Chandler Jones unblocked and running play action boot towards his side, and I would have liked Tannehill to check out of this play once he saw how wide Chandler Jones' alignment was. This is a really good man coverage rep by Fulton. He does a great job of transitioning out of his back pedal and then walling off the passing lane and breaking on the ball. This is one of a lot of run plays that could have gone for 20 plus yards if just one person won their block, but Nate Davis can't reach this linebacker's play side shoulder, and if Derrick Henry was a shiftier running back, this is probably a touchdown, but that's not really his game. Harold Landry was one of Tennessee's better defensive players, especially against the run, and he does a nice job here of carrying this block out to the sideline and setting the edge. We'll get to Lewan in a second, but I want to talk about Tannehill's processing on this play. So his first read is Julio, who's covered pretty well, and then AJ is the second read, and at this point the ball needs to be out of his hands. AJ is as open as you can get in the NFL, and Tannehill doesn't have time to just sit in the pocket and pat the ball. So Taylor Lewan is going to use a jump set here, which is basically making immediate contact with the defender, and you usually see this used on play action because the forward motion helps sell the run to the rest of the defense. I'm not a fan of tackles jump setting if the person they're blocking isn't on their body, because it's just way too easy to lose balance. At this point in the block, Taylor Lewan's in good position, but he needs to start sliding and working Chandler Jones' outside shoulder. But Jones is athletic enough to just take advantage of the vulnerable position that Taylor put himself in. I didn't think Roger Saffold had a great game. Right here, his main issue is that his feet are too close together when he's trying to finish this block. This is mainly just a great play by Chandler Jones. He's going to flash his hands, which baits Taylor Lewan into leaning forward and opens up a path around the edge. Here's the play that everyone's been talking about on Twitter. Tennessee's in off cover 0, and there's just no excuse for this. The point of a zero blitz is to force the quarterback to get the ball out quickly, which, as it turns out, is no problem if you just leave everybody open. Not much to add to this play, but this is a really smooth route by Nick Westbrook. On this goal line run, Saffold gets pushed backwards, which slows Henry down and allows the linebackers to make the stop. Right here, Jayon Brown and Amani Hooker don't account for Kyler Murray as a runner, and he gets an easy touchdown. Lewan obviously played poorly, but he actually settled in as the game went on, and I'm not really worried about him at all moving forward. His issues were mainly just sloppy technique, and I expect him to be a lot better next week. This is great man coverage by Kevin Byard for 7 seconds, which is longer than you should expect a player to hold up in man. Tier Tart took on double teams all day and rarely allowed the O-line to get any push. It was so great to see Fulton healthy and breaking on the ball like he did back in college. This acceleration is the reason that I thought he should have been a first-round pick, and I'm super optimistic about him going forward. This is probably the best run block of the day. Ben Jones gets his helmet on the play side shoulder and opens up this lane, and then really good job by Nate Davis to block on the move here as well. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to subscribe and also check out my Patreon if you want to get access to extra content and support the channel.